First things first. If you all saw the other day, I believe actually maybe it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. I posted a video about Nina Turner and how she just absolutely shredded Mimi Rocha, who went on MSNBC and decided to embarrass herself. She wants to act the whole damn fool, attack Bernie Sanders personally, said that Bernie makes her skin crawl. Well, I did not know that Bernie's presence and whether or not it affected your skin, which is a weird thing, by the way, that somebody has that much of an effect on you when you're never thought they're mine. Like, it's kind of weird that you living rent free in your head. That damn socialism strikes again. Anyway, when she went on and embarrassed herself, Nina put her in her place in one of the nicest, sweetest possible ways that you can do it. She said, you know what? That's fine. I'm not even going to entertain this. What I'm going to do is let the women who support Bernie entertain this for you. And all the women on Twitter, I mean thousands of them, came out and went at Mimi Rocha because she was claiming that Elizabeth Warren deserves more support than Bernie and that women shouldn't be voting for Bernie. So what we're going to do is actually watch this clip. And we're going to figure out who exactly has shown a history of being for women and not so much being for women between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. But first, let's go ahead and check out this.
Sanders makes my skin crawl, and I can't even identify for you what exactly it is, but I see him as sort of a not pro-woman candidate. And so having the two of them there, like, I don't understand young women who support him, and I'm hoping that having him next to her will help highlight that, because those are the people that if I were her, I would want to say, well, why are you supporting him and not me if you're going to choose?
Okay, what? Oh, bruh. When I first heard that comment or that interview, I was like, you know, ever start looking for more like context? You're like, man, because a lot of people lie nowadays, right? And so you don't want to get the wrong information. Cool Blue, thanks for the update on Steve Bullock. Man, no, he's the governor of Montana. That's crazy. I promise you, I would have never known that. I could have looked it up, but then I'm like, I don't even know why he's important, so I'm not even worried about him. But the crazy thing about that interview is that, once again, you're expecting, if you go get some context, maybe before or after her words, that she's probably at some point at least spoken about a policy or has at least spoken about, like, something Bernie said, something Bernie did. I don't know. Give us a glimpse into her thought process and why she thinks that way. Yeah, I looked for the context. It wasn't there, y'all. No context at all. That was just how she felt. And apparently, any of you all of you who have a lot of opinions, a lot of you all, I know, have opinions based on just pure emotion. Sometimes just get angry and you go on Twitter and you just start tap, 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 tap. Or if, you know, maybe you're of the older class and you get on Twitter and you close your one eye and you put your all caps on so you can still see the letters. I know some of y'all be typing in all caps because you can't see the letters. It's okay. However you go on Twitter. But it's cool. Because now you can apply to MSNBC to be a political analyst and just go on and tell the world all about how you feel about a candidate, about how you feel, how you hate them, how you love them, and that's the reason why people shouldn't vote for them. Because, hell, it's 2019. I don't know why I'm still expecting people who are hired political analysts for a major television network, especially a network dedicated to politics. I don't know why I expect them to be arguing policy in 2019 when they haven't done it in 2018, 2017, nor did they do it in 2016. So I don't know why I keep expecting this. I don't know why I keep being surprised. But yet again, I am surprised as hell because that's ridiculous. So go ahead and get your applications, everybody. Go fill them out. And I'm 100% positive that if y'all gonna give an emotional rant, at least it'll be better than the one she just gave. So I'm gonna play that again, and then we're gonna analyze if there's any truth to her statement.
Between the two of us.
We'll leave it there. Come back in just a moment. Mike Memley.
Sanders and Elizabeth Warren next to each other will really highlight, because for me, as you know, again, I'm not the political analyst here, but just as a woman, probably considered a somewhat moderate Democrat, Bernie Sanders makes my skin crawl, and I can't even identify for you what exactly it is, but I see him as sort of a not pro-woman candidate. And so having the two of them there, like, I don't understand young women who support him. And I'm hoping that having him next to her will help highlight that, because those are the people that if I were her, I would want to say, well, why are you supporting him and not me if you're going to choose between the two of us?
We'll leave it there. Come back in just a moment.
Bruh. Okay, so this is why I said that anybody can apply there. Did you hear how she started off the conversation? Well, listen, I know that we're in a roundtable discussion about, politics, and most specifically the 2020 presidential election, probably the most important election in the history of our country, because we may not survive depending on who we elect. But I know that those are the facts, and I also know that I am not a political analyst. I'm here for some reason. MSNBC brought me on, but I'm not a political analyst, and I know that. But I'm going to actually proceed, if it's okay, to make inflammatory statements that are completely biased, one-sided, and are not actually grounded in any thought, any rationality, any logic or reasoning whatsoever. And I just really hope that everybody agrees with me, because I'm on MSNBC. And if I have MSNBC at the bottom right corner of the television screen, then of course, that means you can believe everything I say. That's what just happened. MSNBC just asked a woman who, admittedly enough, said, I'm not a political analyst or anything, but let me give my opinion, because MSNBC for some reason called me here to do so. What the fuck is going on? And I don't understand why in the hell they keep calling people that have no business being on the television screen to speak about these things. And then on top of that, if you're going to bring somebody on to attack or defend one candidate, why don't you bring on someone to counter her point, like you do with every other candidate? If you're going to have someone on there that's there to bash Bernie, or even bash male candidates, maybe you should have another woman on who says, well, maybe we shouldn't be bashing all male candidates. Maybe we should be looking at policy to see who's the best candidate for women. Maybe, that's what I would do. But God forbid we ever, have a real network on television that's dedicated to things like the truth. That's very taboo now. Cold Blue, thanks for the super chat. Mimi Rocha is rich. She's also from Harvard. Rocha is not only against Bernie Sanders. She's one of the halves against the rest of us. One of the halves against the rest of us, the have-nots. Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. So she is making the very, very bold claim, because it is indeed a bold claim, that Elizabeth Warren is somehow better for women than Bernie. Once again, completely based in feeling. Because I know for a fact it cannot be based in fact. Because if you know anything about Bernie Sanders' history, not only when it comes to women's rights, but generally the rights of all marginalized people, Bernie has been a staunch advocate of since college, right? But very specifically for women's rights, and it's actually kind of like a double-edged sword, because it speaks to how dedicated he was to women's rights specifically, but it also shows you what he was willing to sacrifice, the rights of others who was willing to sacrifice to make sure that women specifically are taken care of. He voted for the 94 crime bill in an abominable bill. It was absolutely, the language in it was clear. We're trying to put black people in jail for money. Will you vote on this? Of course you will, because I'm going to pay for your entire campaign and you can't win without my money. And so it was going to get pushed through, and it was clear what was going to happen whenever the vote went through. But Bernie, being so dedicated to women's rights issues, merely spoke on the disasters that the bill could potentially lead to, but said, I'm going to vote on it because of the Violence Against Women's Act, which is included in this bill. So because of the Violence Against Women's Act, he voted on the bill. Now, in all fairness to Bernie, it was going to pass anyway. Got it. But he did not want his name to be sullied or his record on women's rights to be sullied by voting against the Violence Against Women's Act. Not to mention, when it comes to the medical side of things, Bernie took a bus full of women to Canada to get medication because it was cheaper there. Bernie is firmly, has never been anything but pro-choice. I mean, hell, just look at the amount of women Bernie actually has a preference towards putting women in influential situations in his campaign, more so than men in a lot of like, people don't know that about Bernie. People look at the maybe the first 4 or 5 people from the last campaign he hired and think that that's emblematic of who he is. Like, and that's just how he always runs things. I'm not saying he doesn't have a bunch of white people in charge, but he's like in Vermont, so like it's just a bunch of white people around. So, but when he finally got the network around him and the connections to do so, you see the type of people he put in influential positions. Nina Turner, Bree Joy Gray, a lot. I mean, people feel that one of the other press secretary is also a woman. Their well, I think not the campaign manager, but like one of the directors is a woman. Like, it's mostly women at the top of his campaign. So like, this has been a consistent thing for Elizabeth Warren. It has not, however, been a consistent thing for Elizabeth Warren. Did I say Warren the first time? It's been a consistent thing for Bernie. It has not been a consistent thing for Warren at all. One, being a Republican, it's probably easy to assume that she was not pro-choice until it was popular to be pro-choice. Unlike Bernie, being a Republican, there are some things, unfortunately, that you just have to accept if you're a part of the Republican Party and you've bought into that ideology, which Elizabeth Warren admits she has. Most of the Republican policies have fundamentally tried to remove rights from women or make decisions for women time and time again. I'm not saying that that's exclusive to the Republican Party, but it is most oftentimes initiated by the Republican Party. Even if, so there are conservatives outside of the Republican Party that don't agree with the Republican Party, but I'm saying just you bought into the idea of a Republican Party that has done this historically to women. And you've never really reconciled it or explained how you've grown from there, other than always telling your personal story about how you wanted to be great. It's not the same thing as promoting women's rights. Now, this actually translates into policy and action. That's what the important thing about these anecdotes that people like to share. Bernie's anecdotes about his life translate into policies and actions, like the Violence Against Women's Act, like traveling with the women to Canada. Same thing with Elizabeth Warren. Her being a Republican, being conservative for the majority of her life until it seemed like it was convenient for her career to change over, has influenced how she went about her business. And we can look at this article here by the Washington Post, talk about that. So the title of the article is Dow Breast Implant Case Spotlights Elizabeth Warren's Work Helping Big Corporations Navigate Bankruptcies. When Dow Corning faced thousands of lawsuits in the 1990s from women saying they had become sick from the company's silicone gel breast implants, its parent firm, Dow Chemical, turned to one of the country's leading experts in corporate bankruptcies, Elizabeth Warren. That's not a good start to this article. For those of you who all, think that for some reason, Warren is just anti-corporation, or not. I don't even say anti-corporation because not all corporations are bad, but anti-corrupt corporations, too big to fail. She literally was an expert in preventing people from failing when they were too big. They went straight to her. Okay? So, Warren now a Democratic presidential candidate, has never publicly discussed her role in this case. Her campaign said that she was a consultant to ensure adequate compensation for women who claimed injury. That would actually be an unemployment risk management consultant. In other words, or just risk management consultant. In other words, she would be the person to make sure that you didn't get sued more by not paying out what you should pay and things like that. I doubt that she was a risk management consultant. Usually you're a business consultant if you're a risk management consultant. I don't think that was what she did. And apparently this article doesn't think that's what she did either. So, even though she claimed that was her role, so they said that she got $2.3 billion in funding to those women who suffered from the faulty breast implants. And the campaign even said that was thanks to Elizabeth Warren. Ooh, that's a pretty bold claim. But participants on both sides of the matter say that that description mischaracterizes Warren's work, in which she advised the company intent on limiting payments to women. She advised the company in its intent to limit payments to those women who suffered from the faulty breast implants. I'm not sure if we're talking about who benefits women more, because we all know that society takes advantage of women in various different ways, and there's always basically an Olympic that's always going on for women to have to do different things to stand out in a male-dominated patriarchal society. I get that. So it's very important that when situations like this arise, that you pick a side and that you try and defend women when they're in the right. Because you know that a lot of people will try and trivialize this and pretend like it's not a big deal. Because unfortunately, they are women. I mean, it's not unfortunate they're women, but it's unfortunate they won't think of it as a big deal because they are women. Which is just as important as only thinking of it, or just as bad as only thinking of it as a big deal because they're women, right? So in this situation, you have one side of the fence where Warren actually fought so women couldn't be fairly compensated for a company exclusively doing women wrong, causing them to get sick for years, giving them faulty breast implants. Warren, which is Hillary 2.0, stopped them or tried to stop them from being taken care of. Whereas on the other side of that fence, Bernie, as a mayor, put women on a bus, hustled them across the border, got some medicine, and did that regularly. Now, this article says that she was on the wrong side of the table. That's literally a direct quote. Said Sybil Goldrich, who co-founded a support group for women with implants and battled the company for years. Goldrich said Dow Corning and its parents use every trick in the book to limit the size of payouts of women. The companies, she added, were not easy to deal with at all. A person familiar with Warren's role who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe the litigation strategy, she said the future senator was part of a Dow defense team that had containing the company's liability as a goal. In other words, trying to limit how much money they pay out. Bartholomew, appreciate the super chat. I know it's off topic, but everyone should look into the Xinjiang re-education camps. The Chinese government is putting Muslims in concentration camps. I never hear about it on the news, and it's horrific. Oh, wow. Yeah, I need to see that. That's wild as hell. Jesus. But yeah. So here we have a woman who says that Bernie makes her skin crawl. I don't understand. It's fighting for women's rights, not only in your words, but in your actions and in your policies. That's what makes your skin crawl. Something tells me that Bernie, like fighting for women's rights and all that good stuff, has nothing to do with your skin crawling. Something tells me that you have a personal beef with Bernie. Something tells me you probably were a Hillary supporter too. Because it's weird how all of these people have known Bernie Sanders has existed for quite some time, right? The man's been pretty outspoken. He's worked with both sides of the political spectrum. And now that he's ran for office, now he makes your skin crawl. Once he becomes the most popular politician in the country, the same senator that you knew existed before had the same policies, talked the same way, had the same hairstyle, but he didn't make your skin crawl until the rest of the country fell in love with him and his policies. Makes me think it has nothing to do with Bernie, but who was on the other side of the field with Hillary Clinton. And you're hoping. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button to get all of our notifications if you like that episode of Mi Casa Su Casa. You can also help continue to grow our show by donating to our Patreon and helping us hit our goal of 500 patrons. But remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.